Aviation gasoline is a very complex mixture of relatively volatile hydrocarbons. The higher performance grades of aviation gasoline are produced by blending specially manufactured high-octane petroleum fractions, which consist of paraffins and light aromatic compounds. Aviation gasoline grades are identified primarily by their minimum octane or anti-knock or anti-detonation ratings. We'll speak more on octane ratings later on in this lesson. The use of an incorrect grade can have catastrophic results in terms of engine performance and aircraft safety. In order to differentiate between grades, dyes are added to the fuels in accordance with an internationally agreed colour code to impart a distinctive colour. Equipment used to dispense Avgas is coloured red to prevent cross-contamination with other fuels. In general, each type of engine is certified to operate on a specific grade of fuel, and at one time several grades covering a range of octane ratings were produced to meet the requirements of all of the different types of engine. In recent years, the diminishing demand for aviation gasoline has led to a reduction in the number of grades available. The different types of engine all had slightly different requirements in respect of the fuel that they used. These different requirements covered the fuel's calorific value, its volatility, startability, stability, sulfur content, and octane rating. Thus, aviation gasoline is manufactured to conform with these exacting specifications, which are issued within the United Kingdom by the Directorate of Engine Research and Development, or DERD. The specification number for gasoline is DERD 2485, and that for kerosene is DERD 2454. Fuel grades lie within a specification, and therefore carry a blanket DERD number, followed by a grade which is not prefixed by the DERD notification. This list shows some of the grades of aviation gasoline which have been, and in some places in the world may yet be, available. Avgas 80 is red in colour. It contains little or no lead, and when tested it's found that it will detonate as if it was an 80-octane fuel in a weak mixture, and as if it was an 87-octane fuel in a rich mixture. Avgas 100 contains 4 grams of lead per gallon, and is coloured green to distinguish it from low-lead fuel. Its weak mixture octane rating is 100, while its rich mixture octane rating is 130. Although it's still available in some parts of the world, it is becoming more and more scarce. Avgas 100LL is now the most widely available gasoline grade. Containing only 2 grams of lead per gallon, it has replaced both Avgas 80 and Avgas 100 in most areas of the world. It's coloured blue. MOGAS stands for motor gasoline. Some aviation authorities do allow the use of motor gasoline for some aircraft. Within the United Kingdom, aircraft authorised for the use of MOGAS are laid down in airworthiness notices numbers 98 and 98A, B, and C. It has a higher volatility than Avgas, and thus carburetor icing and vapour locking is much more likely. Information on the use of MOGAS can also be found in CAA Safety Sense Leaflet number 4A. Diesel engines are being fitted into light aircraft more and more, as diesel technology improves the power-to-weight ratio of this type of engine. Diesel fuel is either coloured red, in some countries it's used as heating oil which is taxed at a lower rate, or left clear. Aviation diesel engines are being developed to use the cheaper jet fuel. Although it may seem premature to discuss jet fuel this early in the subject of power plants, it may be useful to know its colour at this stage. Aviation turbine fuel, or AVTUR, is coloured either straw yellow or left clear, so that it may be distinguished from the Avgas variants. This is because even small quantities of jet fuel mixed with avgas may cause engine damage or failure. We've already stated that aviation fuels are given specifications by the Directorate of Engine Research and Development. The terms that follow cover just some of the characteristics that have to be assessed before such a specification can be fulfilled. The calorific value of a fuel is a measure of the amount of heat that will be released during its combustion, and it's measured in British thermal units per pound, or kilojoules per kilogram. The calorific value of a fuel varies with its chemical composition, fuels with a high hydrogen content having a higher calorific value per unit weight. The calorific value of a fuel is also related to its specific gravity. The higher a fuel's specific gravity, the higher its calorific value per unit volume. This picture shows the use of a calorimeter in determining the calorific value of a substance. A volatile liquid is one which is capable of changing readily from the liquid to the vapor state by the application of heat, or by contact with a gas into which it can evaporate. The volatility of gasoline determines the efficiency with which it mixes with the air in the carburetor. However, the time in which this mixing takes place is so short that some of the fuel remains in the form of minute droplets, the evaporation of which occurs in the induction system. A liquid boils when its vapor pressure is greater than the atmospheric pressure acting on the surface of the liquid. This means that as the atmospheric pressure reduces with increase of altitude as the aircraft climbs, the fuel vaporizes at a lower temperature. This is generally referred to as low-pressure boiling. If the fuel is very volatile, not only will there be excessive losses through evaporation in the aircraft's fuel tanks, but the fuel will tend to boil and vaporize at the depression or inlet side of the fuel pump, causing bubbles and vapor locks to form, which can interrupt the flow of fuel to the carburetor. The tendency for carburetor icing to form under certain atmospheric conditions is also enhanced with the use of volatile fuels. A number of the hydrocarbon compounds which are present in gasoline have a considerable attraction for the oxygen in the air. When they come into contact with air, they oxidize and undergo chemical changes to form heavy, resinous, gummy compounds and corrosive bodies. It's essential that these potentially unstable hydrocarbons are not allowed to oxidize. This is prevented by the addition of oxidation inhibitors, similar to the alkyl phenol shown here in molecular form. Sulfur and sulfur compounds, when burnt in air, form sulfur dioxide. This combines with the moisture content of the exhaust products to form a sulfurous acid, which is extremely corrosive to the exhaust system. Sulfur compounds can also be very damaging to the aluminium and silver-plated parts of fuel pumps. Thus, it's important that the sulfur content is kept as small as possible. In aviation gasoline, the maximum amount of sulfur permitted is 0.001%. Combustion is the controlled rate of burning. It is not an explosion. The mixture induced into the cylinders consists of gasoline vapor, which is 84.2% carbon and 15.8% hydrogen by weight, and air, which is 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen and 1% other inert gases. When combustion has been completed, the hydrogen in the fuel will have combined with the oxygen in the air to form H2O, which is water vapor, and the carbon in the fuel will combine with the oxygen in the air to form CO2, carbon dioxide. The nitrogen and other gases play no active part in the combustion process, but they do form the bulk of the gas that is heated and expanded to create pressure energy. The nitrogen also slows down the rate of combustion. Without nitrogen, combustion would be an explosion with far too rapid a temperature and pressure rise to allow it to be harnessed to do useful work.